Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and we're here to talk about how to fight with CPS. Now, CPS is a government entity that's a branch of social services. Every state has in the county a CPS. Um, I call it the child protection system. A lot of different states have different names. California, it's CPS, Child Protection Services. In Arizona, it's DCS, Department of Child Services. Other states, it's different too. So, with that being said, when I refer to CPS, I talk about um, all the county agencies that deal with protecting our children from neglect and abuse, and also they do family reunification. I don't understand why families have to be reunified. They're together in the first place. But they're supposed to listen and help out families. They're required by law. But what's happened is that the county CPSs have kind of gone rogue. What I mean by that is their interest is the money. It's a $50 billion business a year. And it's where children are paid from the state that receives federal funds of $20,000 per child per month. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So I want to welcome all the listeners and all my people that have been on and following me. I've been doing this since October of last year, and I've talked to over 500 people. And I care about you people because I've been in CPS before. And I know what you're going through. I have the feelings and I really want to help you with my experiences. Yes, I've been brutally attacked by CPS, and my story is not a very happy one. And I've been doing this now for 14 years, fighting CPS. Um, my children were trafficking into foster care in 2015. And for 3 years, I had to fight them until I got two of my three children back. I had six children totally, three older children and three younger children. And so I want to share what worked for me and what helped you. I have three rules I'll go over with you also. One thing, this podcast is interactive. You found me on Facebook fighting CPS, and now you're on the YouTube channel, and I'm using the StreamYard application. Um, I'm supposed to have a host this morning with me, a co-host, Danielle from Georgia. She said she'd be on, but I have yet to see her yet. So hopefully she'll be joining us shortly. Um, I also want to thank um, Mr. Davis, who produces this podcast. Without his help, the podcast would not be possible. So I want to thank you. He's a very experienced family law attorney with 35 years. He's a trial attorney. He's a CPS attorney. He's fought CPS and gotten children back. He's been doing this for 35 years. Professional family lawyer. He's also fought in dependency court. And he's fought all across the country, and he'll fight for you. Um, all you need to do is call in at 888-888-6582. Let me see if I can make that number more visible for you. It's 888-888-6582, and you can um, talk to him. He will do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. A consultation for 30 minutes for $60. And it's well worth the money you spend because he'll help you navigate the terrible place that CPS is. It's really awful. Now, there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. I really hope you pick one of them. Um, One way is to text a message into me. I'll read it and I'll try to help you with an answer to your question. I'm not a lawyer, but I have 14 years experience fighting with CPS, and I can try to help you. Um, when you do text in, I'd like you to stick with CPS, a CPS question or comment. Please show your name, city, state, or country. Yes, that's right, I said country. And be complete with your CPS case. We've had so far Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, um, Ghana, um, which is in South America near Venezuela, and Brazil. We've had Mexico, and then we've had Mozambique in Africa near Somalia on the east side of Africa. And lastly, we've had Denmark. All these countries, people that have texted in have problems with CPS. England's been several times, Canada's been several times. And so I will take time to listen to what you have to say because maybe something you're doing can help others. This is an information show, and it's important that we share information and help each other. Um, because you're really dealing with a bad agency. Now, besides um, texting in, you can also call in uh, to my office number 626-698-0990, and it's active during the show times for 1 hour. Other times when you call in, it won't be answered. So please call in during the show times. Um, so that's the second way you can interact with this podcast. Call in 626-698-0990. Now, a third way is that you can be a guest on the show. You can be a guest on the show, meaning that you can uh, pick a time. There's 14 times. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day, morning and evening. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time for an hour, and then in the evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for an hour. And the only exception to that is on Sunday. Every Sunday I start at 8 o'clock early. I start Sunday at 8 o'clock early. Also next week on Tuesday the 21st, I'll be starting my show instead at 7 p.m. I'll be starting at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. will be my show. And that's this Tuesday only. The rest of the times will be at 7 p.m. So when you email Grace, who's my producer, I want to thank her for her hard work that she does um, putting this all together and getting you on board. Email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And you tell her you want to be on my morning show, evening show, Wednesday show, Thursday show. You just pick one of those 14 shows, and I'd love to have you, and you can talk, and you don't have to worry about going on the camera if you don't want to. But maybe later on you like to talk, and that is fine too. That is fine too. So now I've told you three ways you can interact with this show. Um, so you just pick one of the three ways. Um, and I'll gladly uh, do my best to find out. I find out that the knowledge is the key to success with CPS. You really have to research a lot, spend a lot of quality time researching the internet. There's so much on there. about CPS and how it works and so forth. Um, CPS starts at the county level, and it's based on allegations that come in. And these allegations are recalled by two types of people: professionals and laymen. Now, the professionals are school teachers, policemen, doctors, nurses, uh, counselors, people that do jobs that involve children. They are sworn to, if they see child abuse or suspect child abuse or neglect, they're supposed to call it in. And when they're called in, the county CPS will take the call, and within 24 hours, they will follow up with an investigation. And they believe when the allegations come in to be true. So you're guilty um, before you're found innocent. It isn't like the other court system, the criminal court, where you're not guilty until you've proven that you are. You're innocent until you're not proven guilty. But in CPS, you're guilty until you prove you're innocent, which is really hard because they believe everything. And I also notice that with lay people, in my case, lay people have a tendency to lie for alternative um, motives. What I mean by that is that, let's say a neighbor's dog is barking and the next door neighbor doesn't like that, so he'll call a false claim to CPS and say so and so is beating their children, which he doesn't have any children. But anyway, that calls in to CPS and they'll go out and investigate, and it becomes a problem there. It's also, um, let's say your yard is infringing their yard with overgrowth or something. They will sometimes do that. In my case, my family members, my wife's side, the whole family was calling in weekly with reports of stuff that wasn't true. And it came in when I lost my job in 2010. I had a lot of things go bad for me. In 2010, I was fighting CPS interrogating me. I had lost my job through no fault of my own, and my parents were dying. I just found out I had a predatory loan, which is a loan that you qualify if you don't really qualify. The lender is doing it because he wants the bonus money. So sad because a lot of these things is contingent on money, um, which is really, really, really sad. You'll find out that CPS doing $50 billion a year is ridiculous, and that's way too much money. And there's no transparency. There's no one monitoring the state. The state doesn't monitor the county, which I'm really surprised. They should have a board of supervisors or directors at the county level, and CPS needs to be followed because they are very corrupt right now. Um, I like to paint some pictures for you. In Prescott, Arizona in 2022, a group of CPS social workers thought it was a great idea to make pink t-shirts, and on the front it tells them uh, professional child kidnappers, and on the back it says, parents, do you know where your kids are at? And they paraded this t-shirts, 8 of them did, and they paraded them in department stores and so forth. Well, when the public called in and started making complaints, they were immediately removed, and shortly thereafter, the CPS director was too. They were fired. But that doesn't help the thought that CPS workers are um, are only in it for the money, because it's hard to picture these pink ladies doing a good job with your case. And that's the attitude that the social workers that I've heard from you all, including my case, were like that. So have that picture in mind. CPS is not your friend. They will lie to you. Yesterday, I had someone still thinking that you should sign papers and talk to them. You don't need to talk to them. You do not need to talk to them or the police. The only time you need to talk to them is there's a court order. If there's a court order. And it's best not to because you're going to say something they'll use against you. I found that so true. Um, I want to welcome Josie Alams, Alam apostrophe S. I don't know where you're from, Josu. Um, uh, Thank you for the uh, okay, and thank you for the emoji of the heart. That's sweet. Thank you. Um, you can tell me what city and state you are, but if you don't want to, that's okay too. I just try to get a general idea where the problem is with CPS. Also, if you have a question, I'd love to help you. Just tell me your question and so forth. Now, you got to think of CPS that they're going to take your children, no matter if they're in danger or not. They've now changed that. It used to be they only take your children if the children are in immediate danger. But now, you don't know this, but they'll come to your home, you'll let them in, they see your house, maybe there's some things that maybe will hurt you there. You talk to them, and they say, well, we got to take your children. They're in immediate danger. Well, they're not. They're taken there because they want to get the money clock going. They want to get that money. And I'm sad to say that. And there's lots of ways you can fight with them. I have 3 rules that will help you, which I'll talk to you in a moment or two. Um, Now, you may want to ask, who am I? I'm a loving man. I'm a husband and a father. I have a wife for over 32 years, and I have 6 children, 3 grown-up children and 3 young children. And at the time of my incident, 2015, when my children were trafficking into foster care, and I'm using the word trafficking because that's what they're doing. They're legally trafficking your children, and they put them in foster care in hopes they'll be adopted, or they can keep collecting money on your children till they turn 18. So my younger children at the time of the incident were 9, 12, and 15. And my family was solid. We were together. The only problem I had is that at age 60 I lost my job. And you know how hard it is to get that kind of work there at age 60. But through no fault of my own, when I lost my job, I tried to go out there and look, and I think they just don't like the age. You look younger, you feel younger, and you're still young. So for 5 years, they were harassing me, these social workers in Orange County, that's California. And these social workers were repeatedly coming out every week saying this and that. And what it was is my in-laws, my wife's family, were calling in things that weren't true, like the children have no food on the table. The parents are not paying for the utilities. They don't have clothing. They're not going to school. Um, they're saying all kinds of stuff that wasn't true. They're making up. And every time I spoke to CPS, I diffused them. I showed them my utility bills. I showed them their grade reports. We always were very active in school. We went to back to school nights and met with the teacher on teacher conferences. We would go to their plays, their productions, or performances, the things they're involved in school. Outside, we're involved in the boys. Well, they're not called Boy Scouts; they're rather called Scouting. But the Scouting program and the Girl Scouts, and then the AYSO soccer. We were involved in those three. And plus, we as a family went out together all the time. We traveled to different parts of the world and different states and countries. Every time I had my 2 week vacation, I spent it with my family. And we would travel in the United States or go to Portugal or Brazil or someplace, because for a long time when I was younger, I used to do the surfing trip for 25 years. And I went to a lot of exotic places around there. A lot of places that are really fun, you know. So the world is, when I was young, I lived out of a sports bag, and for 25 years, we go from place to place. But my family is intact. We had a beautiful home. Our home was close to $2 million in value. And I was able to hold on to it for 7 years, but I finally had to sell it because I needed to get an attorney hired. And the attorney, um, I had to get an attorney. And that pretty much leads me into my first um, rule. You know, a lot of you are saying, well, I can't afford an attorney. And I hear you. I've been there. I've been homeless for about 6 months. You know, I've been down the same boat you are in there. Right now, I'm trying hard. I have a little job, but I'm trying to get a better paying job to take care of my family. And my young family, my young kids have suffered. Um, they're still messed up what CPS did to them, you know, in 2015, 2017. It was 3 years before I got my kids back. But the important thing you have to realize is CPS is not your friend. They'll lie to you. They'll make you sign paperwork. Don't sign anything. You do not have to talk to them. Just simple words, yes, no answers is all you should say. Be courteous to them. And if it gets going too rough dealing with them, then say, time out. I need to speak to my attorney. It's my right to speak to my attorney. I have questions I need to ask him before we go much further. And CPS will do that. They will back off. And maybe with the attorney, that makes them further want to back off and so forth. But in my case, um, I tried for a year and a half to fight CPS. And the county agency was investigating was very corrupt. I tried to speak to managers and supervisors. I even went to the director of the Orange County CPS and met with him at their building. It looked like the Taj Mahal of India. It was the Emerald Green City in the Wizard of Oz. It was a fantastic, very well-to-do business, the offices, everything. You could see where the money is spent. And the director had so much gold around his neck, I thought he was going to fall over. Um, it was terrible. I'm painting a picture because I was getting nowhere with the social workers. I don't know what I know now, because you can apply to the ombudsperson at the state level and make a complaint. I'll talk to that in a few minutes there. But you can register a complaint. Also, if your case isn't registered with the state, that's another problem they'll have because your case doesn't exist. So they can't take your children. That's something recently I found out, that the county is required by law to report the allegations with that number that's on your report, on your form. You'll get a form that shows your allegations. It's a it's a petition, and it starts of your plan. It starts of your plan. Now, there's rule number one, getting an attorney, is that a lot of people say they want to use their public defender. Now, when you're low income and you don't have money for an attorney, the court appoints one. Well, in criminal court, they're a little bit better. I'm not saying they're the best, but um, the public defender, you got to understand, is paid by CPS, and on top of that, they're friends of CPS. They won't really fight for you. They're not being what I call family lawyers. They're not very experienced, and they only show up at your day of your hearing. They only show up at the day of your hearing, and that's wrong. Um, is you need to talk to an attorney about your case, and they're going to do the easy way to solve it. They're not going to help you. They're not going to fight you. Also, when you have a public defender, you cannot speak in court. I want you to understand that. When you have a lawyer representing you, you no longer can speak to them. You can no longer speak to them. What I mean by that, you can't speak to the judge. The only way you can speak to the judge to hear you what you want to say is that if you're defending the case and you don't have a public defender, you say, I'm going to represent myself. And you can do that. And you can talk to them in layman terms. Don't try to be an attorney because you don't know the laws and stuff in there. And I don't recommend this, but your public defender won't do the things you ask of him. And it's sad because you need to be represented by legal counsel. Because even in the courtroom, the dependency court, the judge is corrupt. My judge he knew all about automobile claims and automobile accidents, but he did not know about how to fight CPS or get your children back. So what you want to do is you want to find a professional family law attorney that can fight CPS and that has worked in dependency court, getting your children back. And all you do is go to the internet and you type in fine in, first word fine in, and you want to list the city, the county you're in, the city in that county. And then if you have a big city like Dallas, Chicago, Los Angeles, then that's fine. But if you have a small city that has small population and so forth, you need to find the next biggest city next to you. So you're going to list, for instance, let's say you live in a Podunk city in Texas, and it's on the outskirts of Dallas. So what you do is you say fine in Podunk and Dallas, Texas, and you want to use a pro bono word. That means a lawyer that doesn't do it for money. A pro bono family law attorney. Fine in Podunk and Dallas, Texas, a pro bono family law attorney. And you're going to get a list of pro bono attorneys. They're better than the court appointed attorneys. Pro bono attorneys, usually, if you find a good one, will defend your case and not charge you. But be careful, because I'm not saying that pro bono attorneys can't do well. In fact, there's an association in Texas that has a whole list of pro bono attorneys. Every state will have them and so forth. Anyway, a list of names are going to pop up, law firms. What you want to do, you want to find 10 of them. And if there's only 10, then do those all 10. If there's less than 10, do whichever you have. But you're going to call those attorneys after you review them to see if they do what you want. I mean, when you look at the websites, look at things, you can learn a lot by looking. And after you've narrowed down 10 people, you need to contact them. Why? Well, one, you want to find out if they're still in business because they could very easily not be, or the number could be a bogus number. By calling, you'll find out that answer really quick. The next thing you got to find out is if they are a pro bono attorney, if they really are, because a lot of them say pro bono but don't mean that, or maybe they're uh, low retainers or something there. So you find out that if they are a pro bono attorney. Then you want to find out if they fought in CPS and gotten the children back. Do they have winning cases where they're able to get? Are they willing to fight CPS? Then you want to ask them, have they fought in dependency court? It's really important there that they have experience in dependency court because that's where the case is going to be held in. So, after you determine that by those simple questions you get from the front desk, it'll take 5 minutes per each person. That's a good hour. But you pretty much look at that list that you called, and then you're going to have to decide which one of the five that you want to do consultation with. Now, I want you to add to that group of five that you pick Vincent W. Davis. He's a family law attorney. He has over 35 years in the business, and he knows how to fight CPS, get kids back. In fact, he's done lawsuits against CPS. He's won lawsuits both federal and state courts. He's a trial attorney, and he's fought in cases in different states, Northern California. Of course, he resides in Southern California. So all you do is you call in to 888-888-6582 and schedule a consultation with him. You want to tell the people you call into the office that Bob Pace sent you. And then after that, when you speak to Mr. Davis, you want to say, Bob Pace sent me. And it's really important that you use my name when you're dealing with the office. So there's one of your consultations. He's $60 for 30 minutes. $60 for 30 minutes. The other four other attorneys you're going to have consultations. These are the four that you're pro bono that you found. You're going to talk to them. You're going to ask them, their background, what they've done, and everything. And they should. Some attorneys may charge a consultation fee. Some may not. But at least you get it down to five. And then with those five, you're going to get all this information, and you're going to decide which one matches with me, which one will be a fighter. You want to make sure that they're a fighter. Vincent Davis is a fighter. And you want to also make sure they're experienced, too. So this is how you'd look for an attorney that you can't afford one. And I've already given you one attorney here that has a reasonable fee for a consultation that will help you navigate and show you how to get your kids back and fight CPS. He has his own podcast and his own show, and you listen to him, and you find out that he's great, easy to talk to. Now, another thing I want to say about this rule number one, I want you to think about this. You have to do open heart surgery. You need to replace a valve in your heart. Now, the reason why I bring this up is CPS is just as bad as open heart surgery. Would you, in open heart surgery, do it yourself? Would you cut open your chest and try to work on your heart? Would you have a plumber do it or an auto mechanic do it? or another layperson. No, you're going to get a professional doctor, a heart doctor, who's gone to medical school, who's done an internship, who's mentored another doctor that has a license and so forth. That's who you're going to get. That's who you're going to get. And the reason why I'm saying that is that I tried for a year and a half to fight him with emails and meetings and everything, and it just got worse and worse for me. I had no idea what I know today. I wish I had then. I would never have my kids taken. I would never have been involved in CPS. I did all the wrong things. That's why I'm going over my rules. So I got an attorney, but I had to sell my house. And Vincent Davis helped me get my two boys back. But my daughter, I'm sad to say, was retaliated by the social worker. And because she lost her case in court, she told me and my wife that you're never going to see your daughter again. And what she did is she convinced my daughter. She alienated my daughter from her mom and dad, from her family, and told her you need to change your name, you need to seal your birth certificate, you need to divorce your parents and your family members, and you need to um, be adopted into the foster care system. Well, at 12 years of age, she didn't know any better. I know that. She didn't come up with those ideas. And, oh, good. We got Danielle. I think she probably just got the notification. I don't know.
Hey,
Welcome,
Bob.
Danielle. Yeah.
Hey.
You okay? You
Yeah.
okay? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
I accidentally overslept.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all
So
right.
what?
Because, you're on there late last night, and I can understand that. So,
Who? I mean, is it raining over there? Because I know over here the weather's like the
well,
weather
it's not
is.
as bad in Texas where in Houston the skyscraper windows blew out and four
Oh
people were
no, because
killed.
that's.
Four
Oh
people were
no,
killed. That was
my
sad.
son's over there and near Galveston. He's in Galveston
Okay.
County, which is. Oh wow. I see you got a headset on.
Well, I had to because I'm at my Starbucks,
Oh
and
okay. Okay. See.
that's why I've been doing that because I
Okay.
find out that with my son close by at school, I have to pick him up, and it's just too much driving 2 trips home back and forth. So
Okay. So, have you
anyway,
had anybody come in?
no, I have one person here, Jose Alon, looks like a black
Uh-huh.
man, and he gave me
Okay.
2 thumbs up and he gave me a heart, but he hasn't said
Okay.
where he's from. I had that on there for a bit for the call-in, but now, I mean, I had it on my screen in the early part of the show. What I've just been
Yeah.
talking about is rule number one. I talked a little bit about my case, and now I'm talking about rule number one. I'm telling people they need to get an attorney. I was given an analogy of a a heart surgery. That CPS is like that. It's a heart
Yeah.
surgery thing. So you
Yeah.
need someone that can really do you there.
Well, and oh, excuse me. I've seen in like the area that I used to live in that now they also get like if they don't if they when they bring the police involved, they also bring code enforcement. I've seen, I've heard
Oh
people.
yeah. Because code.
Yeah.
That's what they did with me because they used code to find something wrong with your home.
Mm. And what's crazy is people that live in like mobile homes or older homes, like older homes,
Mm-hmm.
that's not cool because now I mean I've seen like 3 families so far they lost their home because of it. Their place got condemned, so it's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Well, it is. It is sad because
And it's
when the detective tricked me and forced me to come home to my home, I had 2 code enforcement officers there, 5 firemen, three
Oh wow.
social workers, two uniformed policemen, and the detective. And I said to myself, that might be something bad. Is the house on fire? Did it burn down? Or, it's a $2
Right.
million home. It's a private community with CCNRs, so you can't have a rundown place. I mean,
Right. And
you get in trouble. So what they did, the firemen went to check the smoke alarms and fire extinguishers and making sure they're installed correctly and everything. The policemen just went around looking for things that would be legal, like weapons, guns, drugs, those kinds of things. The social workers were going through my drawers. I don't know what they have a fetish about underwear drawers, but they go through your drawers and stuff.
I've always wondered that myself. Like that's
Well,
I've
I don't
never
know. It's a fetish, or maybe they think you hide your drugs there. But anyway,
I,
they were ransacking my place, and my
wow.
foolish that
But you're
I
not even
didn't
on
I
probation or
didn't
anything. They have
no
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 right to.
well I didn't know
Wow.
that. You see, I just thought, well,
Oh,
I have nothing
okay.
to hide. And the thing that
Oh,
got me was my parents' belongings that were stacked neatly, and the furniture was stacked. I was going through
and they
them to
went.
ship them out, and they said, "Oh, well, we have those boxes too high. They could attack the children." I said, "When since
Oh,
the boxes attack children or furniture attack children?"
right. Unless they.
It's like
Right.
it was
It's
ridiculous.
crazy.
So
They
that's
make
what,
a scene for nothing. I mean, for nothing at all.
yeah.
Like it's absolutely no. And I did my girls. I have 3 kids, right? So one of my son's in foster care, but my girls are with guardians. Well, the sheriff is now looking for the guardians of my girls. For what reason? I have to find out. So
Have you seen the
they
guardians of your 3 girls? Have you 2 girls?
no, no, I have not seen them, but they showed up to an address that my guardians have never lived at and never even resided at, didn't even know, like they've never even been there. And why they have this address, I don't know. And they
Did you did you
I
ask
got a call.
CPS to tell you where your girls are at, or they won't
Well, I
do it?
did.
They're not going to tell you.
No, well, CPS ain't involved when it comes to my girls, but they do have guardians,
Weren't
which
they
are my aunt, my
involved? Weren't they involved in the
no,
beginning?
no, no.
Well, was
This
was
is
social services involved?
no. This is when all that guardianship for all 3 of my kids was back in 2011. That's how far this goes back, because there was guardianship for 3 kids. Like it was my mom for my son, my aunt for my daughter, and my cousin for my other daughter. Well, it's been like that since 2011. Well, now I found out that they have not kept the courts up to date with personal status reports annually, and the courts are looking for them. And I'm just like, I don't,
Have you
I'm like,
identified yourself as the mother
yeah,
of the 2 girls,
yes,
and that
yes,
you'd
I
like
have.
to have the guardianship back, or are they?
Well,
How
I
old
told
are
them
they?
I'd like,
How old are they?
they're, they're 17. Well, my one daughter is about to be 17, and then they're 15. So they're like 15 or 17 and 16.
I don't think
So
social CPS will get involved at that late in the
no.
game.
Well,
I
they
don't.
got involved on my son, and he was 17, which they could have left it alone. But see, this is the same aunt that did this to my son. So
Oh,
if she can't keep up her guardianship terms, then how could she get away with doing what she did to my son? See, and that's where this like it's I'm gonna make sure that they don't get my girls. CPS is not getting my girls. I'm sorry, like they've already got one kid and they're not getting.
yeah, and I would
And
be very careful about approaching CPS about your girls.
oh, I'm not even gonna talk to them about it. Like they're
No,
like
I don't
they
think you need to talk to them at all. In fact, I think what you could do is that you could deal with the guardianship part of social services.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna it's in the court, and with them being so old, and it's in like the guardians, they should like anybody that is going to take, and that's what I emphasize to other people out there. If
Well,
you're
wait a
gonna be
second
able,
now. Where is your daughter's at? Where's your daughter's at?
they stay with the guardians, like they're in Georgia.
No, no.
They live.
I no. I'm trying to say if the guardians are missing, who's watching your
Oh no,
teenage?
they're with them. It's just the courts don't have a way to contact these people.
But
And
you know your cousin, right?
well, I don't talk to them, but I did find out, and I've been trying to get in touch with them. So I'm going to attempt to contact them again here in a minute after we get off the podcast. And if I can't get in touch with them, I'm just going to give their information to the courts. I
Hmm.
mean, I have to keep them up to date because but that was their requirement as far as their responsibilities for the guardianship, you know. And the thing is I want to emphasize to people, put don't put these kids in more of a situation than what they're already in. Like you know, you
Harming them
got
more. Yeah.
yeah,
No stability.
don't sit here. Right.
Yeah.
And especially like if she did what she did to my son, why now is this coming up about my daughter? And then all of a sudden your requirement and your responsibility is for the best interest of my child, and I trusted you with my child from 2011 on, and now I'm finding out that you have not been keeping up the courts. I mean, what makes you think that that's gonna hold up? Like, do you really think that, I mean, do you not think that they're gonna hold them accountable? I'm pretty sure. I mean, but why on my kids? Why do that? I mean, I'm already going through enough with my son. Why jeopardize? I mean, but the thing is she didn't even care to take care of my son, but my my daughter that she has, like, you're putting that in jeopardy now. Like, and she don't even realize it. That's what and
Yeah.
she don't even realize it. I mean, that's what's crazy. I mean, if you have a responsibility and you're under oath with the courts, that is your responsibility. You know, you are taking on that responsibility. And now, I mean, and then they just want to, they look at me like I'm stupid, you know, like, oh, well, Danielle's just causing problems. Danielle's not causing problems. Danielle is telling you that you need to contact these people ASAP, or
Right. Right.
I'm trying to protect my girls. I'm trying to
Right.
protect my girls.
What is the status on your son now? What's the status?
Um, as a matter of fact, I did get a message that said they were having a meeting today, and that they're going to give me a better understanding of what they still need to do, and a better time when he is coming back home. So I know
They
it's in the works, and it's going to be probably it's coming up real soon. Like, but what it's going to be is it's going to be like right then and there. Like, I know they're going to tell me at the last minute, and
now
like
who is telling you this? The CPS or the guardian?
so
Guardian.
no, the social. Well, there ain't no guardian. The guardianship is still open, but this is the social worker that oversees foster care. Like,
Wait a minute.
the
Why would foster care be involved if he's over 18?
because they still have custody of him until the guardianship gets granted. Like, they're still CPS is still responsible for him until the guardian. I've read about it. It's extended foster care, and he's a dependent, a child in need of services. You know, so he's still considered a child in their system. So
Okay.
I did find that out, and that answered a lot of questions that had to do. Otherwise, they were supposed to what is it? They were supposed to relinquish him and like in the foster care and everything when he turned 18. So that's where I had to find the gray area. Like, okay, well, he's 18, but what is he considered in their system? A child in need of services, which is chins, and that's where the gray area comes in at, where they still have him. So, because I was gonna like, I was like, man, if this is
Well,
the case, I can drive up there and get him.
how are your Zoom calls going
With them, or
with your son?
they're going great. Yesterday, they're going good. I mean, he's you can tell well, I haven't got to talk to him this week, which is odd. I've been giving it day to day, and then I'd call about him every day, and I'm gonna talk to him tonight. I know that because I'm gonna raise Cain, because I haven't got to talk to him in 4 or 5 days, and that's not normal.
Okay. All right.
So, and usually if I don't talk to him, if 3 days goes by and my son don't get to talk to me, he'll have an altercation, which they tried to flip it and say that if he talks to me, then he acts out after the visits. No, every visit, every time that he's not talked to me for like a like amount of period of time, 3 or 4 days, or 2 or 3 days, and he don't get to talk to me because I call every day. I mean, religiously every day, and if he don't talk to me, he'll act out. And they tried to flip it and say that he did after the visits. I'm like, no. Because we have a thing. If he's, I ask him every time I talk to him, have you had any altercations? And then if he has, then I tell him, well, did you have negative thinking? Or I call it he calls it his stinking thinking is what he calls it. And then I'd help him, and I said, well, what did you do to fix that? Like, what did you do to turn them negative thoughts into positive thoughts? He said, Mom, I had to turn my frown upside down. And he said, then turn into a smile. So, and I'd tell him, and what he would do is he would walk away and he'd tell him he needed a timeout. And when he tells him he needs a timeout, that means he's going off. Like if he's outside, he'll walk off by himself, but not too far, or he'll go to his room and he'll have a breather. He'll take time to himself, and then he'll turn around and he'll give himself whatever amount of time he needs. And then he'll come back out and regroup after he regroups, and then get back in and get back involved with everyone, and then he'll go and he'll fix his wrongs and turn them into rights. Like if he did something to somebody, he'll tell him, he'll go apologize and everything for doing whatever whatever. He'll restep retrace his steps and fix it and turn it into positive things. So because my son, he don't ever hardly do nothing. That boy, like, he is so chilled. He don't bother nobody. Like, something has to seriously be going on for my son to act out. Like, he does not. I've never known someone to be so laid back that, and him, he is the most chilled kid and boy and young man I have ever known in my life. And I'm not nothing like that, but he is just he just goes with the flow. He's kind of like my brother. He just goes with the flow. And really he can be like, he can live like my brother, my brother takes care of himself, but he just like I said, needs to live with somebody 24/7 because of his his memory and his physical disability, So my son's the same way. My son can make decisions. My brother can make decisions. There's just things they need help with, like certain things. But that's not. But there's no reason for them not to have a chance at life too.
Yeah.
I don't. These kids in these facilities. Like, I even asked the people out there that work at this facility. I said, do these other kids that are there, do their parents see them? And you would believe, and I hate it. I hate when I call in and I see these kids see my son on with the video visit with me, and their face just lights up, and and I'm a mom and get that feeling. I get that feeling that, oh my gosh, it just makes them feel really good, and they just want to talk to me, and but it hurts to know that. Why did these parents give up these kids? Why aren't these parents involved? And I'm like the one that calls the most about my son. I call every day, and even some other kids have retaliated, and I've acted out and retaliated on my son because of that. Because I do call and I am involved, and that's why, like, I had to pick and choose my battles with that, because if there's certain things going on, I don't want to interrupt him. I don't want to, so I leave it up to him if he wants to visit, because I can't. These kids will act out and they'll take it out on Alex, my son, and I don't know where their parents are. Like, why aren't their parents? It's not my son's there. He's coming, and it just, oh my goodness. And he don't need to be in a behavioral place like that. Like, that's more for people that are kids that are like very aggressive and like like, my son is the most coolest, calmest kid you will ever, or excuse me, young man, because he's 18 now. If he heard me call him a kid, he would be like, Mom. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, now that he's turned 18, he's a young man now. He's an adult, so he'll make sure to let me know that too. I'm like, okay. I said, but you're always still gonna be my baby, so
I have 5 minutes to get my
yeah.
rules in and
Okay, go
talk
ahead.
about things. Um, One thing I want to tell everybody that's listening, let me switch this over to get the phone number down because I really can't.
I got a new headset in, so I actually like I got Bluetooth speaker the things in. I like it how they stay on, but I don't like how they're sliding out of my ears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anyway, um, as I was talking earlier before Danielle came on, I was talking about rule number one, and I cannot emphasize how important it is to have an attorney because you're just like the doctor. I mean, the heart surgeon trying to do it yourself. So I want you all to listen to what I told you, how to find it on the internet and how to sort through it and everything. But I also have a real important other thing I like to mention to you that, and this is something new. There's been a case. There's been someone on our show that goes around and looks for loopholes in different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
legal actions. And she
Mm-hmm.
said that we're supposed to make sure that our county investigation is reported at the state level. And I've been trying
Yep.
to find that and research it. But the Department of Child, Family, and Adult Services is where you would check on that. Every state has a Department of Child, Family, and Adult Services. And you want to
Mm-hmm.
go to the Civil Rights Coordinator, is also
Yep.
called the ombudsperson, the Civil Rights Coordinator.
Yep.
And they will help you.
The
I still have not found
Is
the
it like the
source.
ombudsman?
Yeah, that's what it is. Ombudsman is the
Okay.
Civil Rights Coordinator. But I
Because I
want you
know
all to
in
listen to the
Georgia
term.
they also have a constituent service place too, within the
What
department.
Department of
They
Child,
have
Family, and Adult
constituent
Services?
services.
Okay, I don't know what
Yeah, Department of DFCS.
what is constituent
Constituents.
service? Yes.
It's kind of like constituents. It's like where they. It's kind of like with the senators. They have their subcommittees, and like we're considered constituents. Well, those people are there to help us and lead us in the direction that we need. And help us in the areas like if whatever we need help in, like are looked at. So maybe some of the places are the constituent. It's the constituent services within the department. So
Okay.
they would say some states may have it, some states may not. But I
Okay.
know some places, and that's probably it's kind of like the ombudsman, but that would probably be the way to go to get the information they need to find out about being reported to the state. Would be the
Have you found
constituent
out?
service.
Have you found out of how you can check to see if the county has registered your case with the state? Have you found how to do that?
I know in Georgia, there's a number you have to call to find out the status of your report or your case with the state. It's some 855 number, and
Really?
but that's
What was
in
it? What
Georgia.
was it called? What was it called for that number? What department of state was it called?
It was the hold on, I'll look it up right now. It was like the department. It was a D8 or DHS, so Department of Human Services or something. That's where it. Let's see, but
Department
it
of
was an
Child,
855.
Family,
It's
and
kind of
Adult.
like the same. It was yeah, but it was called Human Services for Georgia. So it's DHS, but um, let's see. Let me look it up. It's under my search history. You can still go over the rules. I'm gonna look it up right now.
No, I don't. I don't. For all the one rule number 2, which is the paperwork, and rule number 3, which is say no, and don't let them in your house. Say no to social workers. Don't talk to them. You'll see in my other podcasts more details about those rules. We're running out of time right now. Um, our time is going to be
Oh,
up here, Danielle. So hang on to a
okay.
second here. Let me go ahead and end the podcast. I want to thank everybody that
Okay.
texted in. We have Josu only today, who's only for the no phone calls. But thank you to all your listeners. I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's going to be 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. So I want to thank you all for listening. Keep trying for getting your kids back. God bless. And this is Bob and Danielle signing off.